Imagine a man whose career nearly ended before it truly began. A man who shattered his body in ways that would make most people give up. But instead, he rose, rewrote the rules of the sport, and left a mark that will never fade. That man is Mick Doohan.
He made it onto the track. This is really dangerous. Look at Doohan sliding the rear, come around and look, there are fans on the track already. This is incredible, since I've never seen anything like this in my life.
The Australian legend who transformed motorcycle racing forever. Today, his story is more than a sports biography. It's about resilience, innovation, and the relentless pursuit of victory.
Michael Doohan has finally done it. The World Championship is his. Here's the Aussie flag and have a look at the Aussie. How pumped up is he?
Oh boy, he's happy.
He said, take the flag, son.
From brutal crashes to championship glory, from pain to perfection, Doohan's journey is the tale of how one man changed the DNA of racing.
Lucky Strike Suzuki leads, Rothman's Honda in second, the Rock Honda is third. 250cc graduate Cito Pons in fifth position, ahead of the World Championship leader Wayne Rainey aboard the Marlboro Yamaha. Schwantz leads, and Schwantz looking very steady indeed. Killy in third, and Killy goes down, and so does Doohan. Second and third place men both crash out at exactly the same corner.
Welcome to this deep dive into the life, career, and legacy of Mick Doohan, a rider who not only conquered his competition but also rewrote the very way MotoGP was raced. Stick with us until the end, because this story has everything: triumph, tragedy, and transformation.
Rainey second, and Schwantz wobbling all over the place aboard the Suzuki, and just look at Mick Doohan broadsiding that Rothman's Honda just like a speedway bike.
Humble beginnings, the rise of a quiet Australian. Mick Doohan was not born into motorsport royalty. Growing up in Brisbane, Australia, he wasn't handed fame, wealth, or a golden pathway into motorcycle racing.
Of course, Wayne Rainey is quickest, if he is quickest at all, on the part of the track that counts, and that's the lead into the start and finish straight. So
that's where the stopwatches are.
Absolutely, and that's where the checkered flag will be. Oh, dear me.
Instead, he built his career from pure grit, raw talent, and an unshakable belief that speed was his destiny. Unlike many riders of his era, Doohan didn't follow the traditional European path into racing. He started late, making his first Grand Prix appearance at the age of 24, a stage when most riders had already been racing professionally for years. Yet what made him different was his discipline. He wasn't just fast, he was calculated, technical, and had an almost machine-like focus. This late entry didn't hold him back. If anything, it fueled him to catch up, to close the gap, and to prove that he belonged on the world stage. Doohan's early years tell us one thing clearly: greatness doesn't always come from privilege, it comes from persistence. The 500 era, the beast that tested riders. To understand Doohan's significance, we must first understand the battlefield he entered. The 500 cubic centimeters class of the late 1980s and 1990s was brutal. These two-stroke monsters were called Widowmakers for a reason. They were light, fast, unpredictable, and had no electronic rider aids to tame them. Only the bravest, or craziest, dared to master them. This was a time when racing wasn't about technology saving you. It was about your reflexes, your courage, and your ability to control chaos on two wheels. A small mistake meant disaster. Legends like Wayne Rainey, Kevin Schwantz, and Eddie Lawson were the kings of this era, each with their own fearless style. Into this dangerous arena walked Mick Doohan, the outsider from Australia. Many doubted he would last long, but what they didn't realize was that Doohan's determination and iron will were tailor-made for the unforgiving 500 cubic centimeters class. Honda and the Dream Machine, a partnership forged in fire. Every great racer has a machine that defines their career, and for Mick Doohan, it was Honda's fearsome NSR 500. This wasn't just a motorcycle. It was a beast capable of tearing down racetracks with raw power but requiring near superhuman skill to control. Doohan quickly became the man Honda could trust to push this machine to its limits.
Still in a race, and Creville also is closing up too, so if these three can stay together, we're in for a great race.
Just keep your eye on the back end of O'Connor.
His technical feedback, his relentless practice, and his obsession with perfection allowed him to develop a bond with the NSR 500 that few riders could match. Unlike many riders who constantly blamed their bikes, Doohan worked with Honda's engineers to fine-tune every detail. He wasn't just a passenger, he was a co-creator, shaping the very future of Honda racing technology. Together, Honda and Doohan forged a partnership that would dominate the 1990s. But before the glory years arrived, Doohan would face a test so severe it nearly destroyed him, and would forever change the sport. The crash that almost ended it all.
Of the World Championship leader, Wayne Rainey, aboard the Marlboro Yamaha. Schwantz leads, and Schwantz looking very steady indeed. Killy in third, and Killy goes down, and so does Doohan. Second and third place men both crash out at exactly the same corner.
The Netherlands. Mick Doohan was leading the World Championship and on his way to becoming a MotoGP legend. But then, disaster struck. During practice, Doohan suffered one of the most horrific crashes of his career. The result was a shattered right leg, mangled so badly that at one point, amputation was seriously considered. Doctors told him he might never walk properly again, let alone race at the highest level. The injury was catastrophic, multiple fractures, muscle damage, and complications that almost killed his career before it peaked. Most riders would have retired right there. But Mick Doohan wasn't. Most riders. His fighting spirit refused to accept defeat. Through sheer determination, and some revolutionary medical interventions, Doohan chose to continue. This was not just about recovery. It was about redefining what was possible. What happened next would not only save his career but also revolutionize motorcycle racing forever. The brake innovation that changed racing. Doohan's right leg injury left him unable to use the rear brake in the traditional way. In a sport where braking precision meant everything, this was a massive disadvantage. But instead of giving up, Doohan and his team innovated. They introduced a thumb-operated rear brake, mounted on the handlebar, allowing Doohan to control braking without using his foot. At the time, this was revolutionary. Critics thought it was a gimmick, but it quickly proved to be a game-changer. Doohan adapted, mastered the system, and started winning again. This single innovation didn't just save Doohan's career, it changed motorcycle racing forever. Today, many riders in MotoGP use variations of this system, proving that necessity truly is the mother of invention. Doohan's pain turned into progress, and his ability to adapt turned into dominance. The dominance. 5 world titles in a row. From 1994 to 1998, Mick Doohan didn't just win, he crushed the competition. 5 consecutive 500 cubic centimeters world championships cemented his status as one of the greatest riders of all time. His style was aggressive yet controlled, fearless yet calculated. Rival riders knew that if Doohan was on the track, the fight for first place was almost already lost. He wasn't simply riding to win races, he was rewriting history. What made Doohan different wasn't just speed, but his mental toughness. Even after life-threatening injuries, he refused to show weakness. Rivals respected him, fans adored him, and Honda thrived because of him. This era of dominance wasn't just about talent, it was about resilience, adaptation, and a relentless pursuit of perfection. Mick Doohan wasn't just winning races. He was building a dynasty. The Rivalries, Schwantz, Rainey, and beyond. No legend exists without rivals, and Doohan's career was defined by the men he battled on track. Wayne Rainey, the smooth American champion, was already a superstar when Doohan arrived. Kevin Schwantz, the wild Texan, brought flair and unpredictability. These men pushed Doohan to his limits and shaped his journey. But unlike some riders who thrived on trash talk, Doohan's style was quiet, focused, and intimidating in its own way. He let his riding do the talking. Rivalries brought the best out of him, and every race felt like a clash of titans. When Rainey's career tragically ended due to paralysis in 1993, and Schwantz retired soon after, Doohan became the clear king of the 500 cubic centimeters class. His ability to face, and outlast, the fiercest competition made his legacy even greater. The mentality, the psychology of a champion. What makes a rider like Doohan special? It wasn't just skill. It was his mind. He had an ability to shut out fear, pain, and doubt in ways that most riders could not. After nearly losing his leg, he didn't race with hesitation. He raced with even more aggression. Doohan once said that if you're thinking about crashing, you've already lost. His mental game was as sharp as his racing lines. He approached every challenge like a soldier, calm, ruthless, and unbreakable. This psychological edge made him more than just a fast rider. It made him an unstoppable force. Behind the helmet, Doohan wasn't a flashy personality. But on track, he was a warrior, commanding respect not by words but by pure dominance. The legacy of innovation. Mick Doohan's career was more than just championships. His innovations, especially the thumb brake, influenced future generations. Riders like Valentino Rossi, Casey Stoner, Marc Márquez, and many others benefited from Doohan's contributions. But his influence wasn't only technical. His story became a blueprint for resilience in sport. Every time a rider comes back from injury, every time a racer adapts their style to survive, they're following in Doohan's footsteps. His impact can be seen not just in MotoGP, but across motorsport as a whole. Doohan showed that greatness isn't about avoiding hardship, it's about using hardship to create something greater. Retirement, the end of an era. By 1999, Doohan's body had endured too much. Another severe crash at Jerez left him with multiple fractures, and this time, he knew it was over. Retirement wasn't easy, but it was inevitable. After 5 consecutive titles, countless victories, and a legacy already secured, Mick Doohan walked away from professional racing. Yet he didn't walk away from the sport. His role as a mentor, advisor, and ambassador kept him connected to MotoGP. Riders looked up to him not just as a champion, but as a symbol of resilience and innovation. The Doohan era ended, but its influence continued to shape the sport. The legacy lives on, from Doohan to Márquez. If Mick Doohan laid the foundation, then riders like Valentino Rossi and Marc Márquez built on it. Doohan's aggressive yet controlled style inspired Márquez's fearless approach. His innovations gave future riders tools to push boundaries. Doohan's legacy is not frozen in the 1990s. It lives in every modern MotoGP race, in every rider who dares to push beyond pain, and in every champion who adapts to survive. The torch he lit continues to burn brightly, ensuring that his name will forever be synonymous with greatness. The man who changed motorcycle racing forever. Mick Doohan's story is one of transformation. He wasn't supposed to dominate. He wasn't supposed to return from injuries that should have ended his career. But through sheer willpower, innovation, and relentless pursuit of victory, he didn't just race, he rewrote the rules of the sport. From the streets of Brisbane to the circuits of Europe, from shattered bones to 5 world titles, Doohan's legacy is clear. He changed motorcycle racing forever. His journey reminds us that greatness isn't about avoiding failure, it's about what you do when failure seems inevitable. So, the next time you see a MotoGP rider pushing the limits, remember, they're standing on the shoulders of giants like Mick Doohan. If this story inspired you, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dive documentaries into the legends of sport. Share this video with fellow racing fans, and let us know in the comments, do you think Mick Doohan is the greatest 500 cubic centimeters rider of all time, or does someone else deserve that crown? Stay tuned, because more stories of grit, glory, and greatness are coming your way.